Hello, I'm Sadie Miller, and this is The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS.
My name is Christian Basil. Years ago, I had an idea. I got myself a TARDIS, took it to new places, met a lot of new people, took some great pictures, and talked Doctor Who. From Krypton Radio and the creators of the Hanging With web show, this is the legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Join me on my latest adventures and become part of the legend.
Welcome to the legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name isn't Christian Basil. I'm Benji Clifford. You may recognize my voice from the Big Finish podcast. But today I'm guest hosting this wonderful podcast. It's a pre-recorded podcast, and we are joined by the lovely Sadie Miller and an all-star guest group of people who are here to enjoy this journey with us. Let's see if they can pop up. Look, there they are. What a beautiful bunch of people. Lovely. How's it going, Sadie?
Yes, good, Benji. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah. I don't think we've ever actually... Have we worked together? I don't think we have. Maybe once.
We did once, didn't we? We worked together. Yeah. We did. I don't know if it's even out yet, actually.
Oh,
but
no.
It was a weird day because we had a million different... I was there doing engineering at a million different sessions. I think you were in the afternoon, and it was a crazy one. But what lovely fun that was. We don't work together enough. We've got to sort that out.
I know. I always end up being with Jack, I think, from Low Post.
Oh, he's a lovely man. He's a lovely, lovely man.
Yeah, he's great. We'll have to poke someone so that we can do some more jobs together.
I'll have a word. Well, I'm joined here by a great bunch of people. Should we all introduce ourselves? I don't know who'd like to go first.
No, we're done here. Just introduce Sadie. It's all good.
They know us. They know us by now.
Yeah, us by
there
now.
We go.
If they don't, haven't been watching.
Well, Sadie, I guess the most important question, and the question everybody's dying to know, is how was your Christmas? Because it's January. It's the 9th of Jan when we're recording this. And so, yeah, how was your Christmas?
Yeah, it was very nice. I keep wishing people Happy New Year. I don't know when the cutoff point for that is. But no, it was lovely. Yeah, today.
February.
Happy New Year.
Chinese New Year's in February.
Yeah, definitely. So I had my children over Christmas. That was very nice. They're 2 and 5, so obviously it's very magical for them still. So that was great. And then we went away for New Year, just a little staycation. So yeah, no, it was very nice. How was everyone else's Christmas? Everyone have a nice COVID-free time?
Splendid, thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's actually a good question. We'll go ahead and bring in the panel. We'll introduce Dave Chapman. How was your Christmas there, Dave?
Yeah, small but nice. Kind of
small, but
stayed. It's a busy season for me because my birthday's right before it, and we've always got a holiday series on the website, so it's always busy, but still nice to not have everything else to deal with.
We were just talking about this earlier. It's just like they didn't even let the holidays settle in before they brought out the Valentine's stuff in the stores for Christmas, and it's just like, and it's not just Valentine's, it's Valentine's for 2025, the year that it gets they're already bringing out that stuff out there, and it's already out there. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first time watching us, welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. I am the host, Christian Basil. Benji Clifford from Big Finish, he's been so wonderful to take over because I'm still getting over something that Florida is just going crazy about right now. I won't go into too much of the detail, but luckily it was just a sinus infection, but it's really been... It was a week of, I like taking a week off work, but not for the reasons why I had to take a week off work last week. So it was not fun out there. Ladies and gentlemen, also some actor Simon Fisher-Becker played Dorian Moldavar and is one of the team here at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS out there.
I feel very privileged to be part of your team. It's excellent.
If you see him on tour, make sure that you're checking out fisherbecker.info, and you can actually see his banner with the legend of the Traveling TARDIS. So we are so happy to have him on board. And how was your Christmas?
Well, my Christmas was a mixture, really. Me and Tony, we've been lucky that we've sort of missed the COVID has steered clear of us, but we have lost a number of close friends this year. So the Christmas card list was much shorter. But so we had a quiet Christmas. We spent Christmas Day with our neighbours, which was nice. And then the rest of the time, after Christmas, I had to deal with some miscreants who attacked my Facebook page and my Twitter account.
I know how that feels.
But worry not, I built a lot of dolls and I collected a lot of pins. So there we go. So mixed blessings. It's always nice to try and be positive in the new year. So that's what it is. This is positive. My first casting with you guys, and many more to come.
Well, I have to say, Simon, you were actually already a part of my New Year, because I was watching the telly the other day, and they just did that Harry Potter quiz thing. It was just on, so I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And who should appear as the guest advisor for? Was it for Gryffindor or Hufflepuff?
No.
They got it wrong.
That's it. You're fired. Wait. We can get away with it. It's
one of two.
It's not a Harry Potter. You can do it.
It's okay, Sadie. We're a Doctor Who podcast, so we'll get back to it eventually. All roads lead. It's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, 7 degrees of Doctor Who. Somewhere Doctor Who touches somebody, whether you like it or not.
Very true.
Yeah. And the lovely Joey Reynolds over at Geek Radio America. How was your Christmas?
Oh, the Packers are #1 seed and home field advantage in the playoffs, Bubba.
That's all that needed to happen. That was your Christmas?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was last weekend, but no, it was uneventful but quiet, very quiet, and a nice little stay at home, but a COVID-free Christmas as well. It's but yeah, well, we're ready for Mardi Gras down here. That's the important thing, being in New Orleans. So yeah, les hometown roulette. Yeah.
Always ahead of the game there. But I'm going to turn this over, and I'll ask that question to Benji. How was your Christmas? Our guest host today, while I try to recover over here and sit on the side, and we're going to introduce our special guest, Miss Sadie Miller.
Well, I had a lovely Christmas. It was very chill. It was very nice. A quiet one this year, but I quite liked it because it was a little bit different, you know. So I just spent it with my family. I think we all went a bit mad because obviously we're not going out as much because of COVID. Got to keep our heads down and all that. So subsequently, we just spent everything that we would spend on going out on lots of food and lots of drinks. So it was very nice. It was very gregarious, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I refuse to believe it's over yet. I'm still in Christmas mode.
I know I'm being bitter, but this is why I'm not. This is one of my beefs against Mr. Chibnall. Every Christmas has always been a Doctor Who Christmas with a new episode coming out over here. And the last two Christmases have kind of like everybody, my friends were all, we watch now old episodes. We watch the classic ones with Matt Smith and David Tennant and Peter Capaldi, and it's just like it doesn't feel like Christmas unless there's a Christmas episode. And I'm also saying this for RTD because I'm not only hoping you bring it back, but all I'm going to say is this: if Lifetime Network can put out 4 Christmas episodes and 4 Christmas movies in 1 year, you can go out there and put out a Christmas episode. I don't care. I just want one. I miss them when they're gone. Now, if you want to include Halloween and New Year's Eve and all those guys, by all means, every holiday for whatever reason have it, but bring back Christmas. That's my deal. Okay, Benji, take it away.
Bring back Christmas.
Bring back.
Well,
Christmas.
I suppose we'll get on to your work with us at Big Finish in a bit, Sadie. But I guess let's start at the beginning. How did you get into acting? Where did it all begin for you?
Oh God. So my parents' agent took me on when I was really young, and then I used to just go up for auditions and stuff after school. So I don't think I ever really even asked to do it. It just sort of kept happening. Child labor. But I always really enjoyed it. And it's obviously when you're younger and you don't have the idea of the business periphery of it. It was just really good fun. So yeah, I just got into it through my parents, really.
So it's just something that, you just thought, well, I'm doing this now. I'm just going to enjoy the ride. But it's nice, though. I think it's nice, that way that you it's something that you've just always done. So it must feel quite natural for you now to just, to be doing that. Because you've got quite a few strings to your bow, haven't you? You do lots of different things. I know that you do a lot of writing as well. And also you've got your Instagram stuff, which we'll talk about as well later on. But yeah, it's what a ride that must be.
Yeah, I think in such a changing modern world, if you're a creative person, you've got to try and have a few different income streams, haven't you? Otherwise, you can kind of cut yourself off. So, yeah, I have a few different things in development at the moment. So aside from Big Finish, I'm writing a horror film script for someone, and also another book, and just various little bits and bobs here and there. So yes, we will see what 2022 holds. But hearing Joey talk about New Orleans, is there ever a convention that's down there? Because I've never been there, and I would love to go. Of all the places in America,
we'll make one for you, sweetie. We will.
Yes!
We got tons of conventions down here.
Fraser said that he wants to go to New Orleans as well. So Fraser and I would definitely go.
What do you mean, Fraser Hines?
Yes.
Oh boy, we don't have the bars wouldn't have enough alcohol for him. He's gonna have
He would tell some impressive stories at certain alcoholic levels. That's what can do.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
Because you did a convention, didn't you, just before Christmas, Sadie? Chicago TARDIS.
Yeah, we went over to Chicago. Yeah, it was lovely. Sorry. No, it was really good fun. And obviously not being able to travel for such a long time, when it feels like a longer time than it was just so nice to be able to sit and talk with people and just connect with people again, because it just feels so dehumanizing when you can't, obviously, like Benji and I have known each other now, I guess the best part of a year or something, and we've never met, but it's just nice to get to connect with people. So yeah, no, it's a really good convention, really good fun.
It's strange, isn't it, how going back into society with things like that, and like with COVID and stuff, and suddenly you forget all these things that you do, like the convention circuits and stuff like that. You forget that's all going on again. It's a strange sort of thing, but it's so nice that because that was, I think Joey was saying, this is your first US convention since you were really young, wasn't it, when you used to go with your mum?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was actually. Although it was quite strange because some people swore that I had been there in 2008, that they'd seen me there. I definitely was not there. But yeah, no, it was the first American one since I was with my mum when I was 8. So
wow.
Yeah, big gap, big time gap.
Okay, having that in advice of everybody who's traveled from the UK to the US doing conventions, Sadie, the difference. What do you think is the difference as far as the audience is concerned, and how they treat you out there?
That's a really good question. I think it's just so much bigger in terms of just like the cosplayers and the amount of people that are there. And I guess maybe because there was such a long time where it was so difficult for fans in America to access sort of Doctor Who in the same way, even to get sort of a copy of the Radio Times or a Target novel, that there's kind of still that gap where people in the UK maybe take it for granted a bit more within the fandom. Whereas in America, I think there's just an intensity about it that we don't always have in the UK.
Yeah. The Brits, and rightfully so, tend to be very proprietary about it. But where the Americans were concerned, I mean, I remember your mom telling me one of her first conventions at the peak of the show's popularity in the 80s, with so many people just jamming the queues. She said she positively felt like a Beatle because of that popularity. So I mean, we love Doctor Who. We've always had an appreciation of a nice soft spot in our hearts, but we're not going to be as nitpicky as the folks in the UK would be. And so yeah, there is a huge gulf of a difference there.
Yeah, well, this is the perfect opportunity. Just going to have to stop you there for a moment, Sadie, because we have got a commercial break. So it's the perfect opportunity to segue into. I've never had to do that before. It's really bizarre. It's very strange. But we'll join you in a few moments' time.
When we return to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, please continue to stay logged on, tune in, and become part of the legend. We're going to continue our discussion with the lovely Sadie Miller. To absolutely tell you how sick I am, I hit the wrong thing. Hang tight. Here we go.
Jackie Sonnenberg's My Soul to Keep is a ghost story rooted in the realities of actual cults. When 13-year-old Sky Monroe arrives at her new boarding school, all she can think about is death and connecting with the afterlife. Soon she discovers her school's spirituality group, the Guardians of Light, and they have a secret. They can speak with the dead, and the organization is a cult. But this isn't Sky's only problem. The campus house where Sky resides is haunted, and even the ghosts have an agenda. They intend on getting the souls they want. Filled with mystery and intrigue plucked straight from the headlines, author Jackie Sonnenberg's research and attention to detail give this ghost story an even more eerie atmosphere. Find My Soul to Keep on Amazon.com today.
Oh, brilliant! It's hard to believe that in the 56-year history of the greatest sci-fi television show in the English language, there has never been a fan guide to Doctor Who. The official books might give you what they think you need to know, but only a guide written by a true fan will give you what you really want to know. Join Whovian, the brilliant Mackenzie Flaw, as she takes you on an intensive journey inside the world of the first female Doctor. In the Binge Watcher's Guide to Doctor Who, Season 11. Right, let's get a shift on.
If you're watching us on the YouTube channel, on Facebook page, or Twitch, or wherever, even on our Twitter page, we're powered by Ragin.
Hey there, this is Meredith Loughran with Ragin, and I wanted to let you know that we encourage and promote independent creators and their projects through organic interaction, consultations, and more. Visit Nita and me at RaginAVC.com for details and contact information. Hit the button.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. Thank you. Welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is host. I have a special guest host, Benji Clifford from BigFinish.com, and we have the lovely Sadie Miller today. And take it away, Benji.
Well, Sadie, I think this is a good opportunity for some of our panel to chip in with a question for you. Has anybody got anything they'd like to ask Sadie?
Ooh,
Who wants to raise their hand first?
My goodness, really? Okay, Sadie, here we go. I'm going to ask this question, being that you're a doctor. I'm assuming you're a Whovian, correct, Sarah Sadie?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Okay, I got to ask, who's your doctor? Now, I'm not saying who's your favorite doctor. Who is your doctor? I did specify that carefully. And then who's your favorite doctor?
So I guess that's really difficult. For me, I really like Christopher Eccleston.
Okay.
I think that he kind of encapsulates a lot of what I respond to as a doctor. I think that he is very engaging, but also there's kind of something a bit off about him. You never kind of quite know what he's going to do. And I think that the doctors that followed him were a lot more palatable. I don't know if I like a lot more sort of commercial in terms of casting. And I think I find him really engaging. The first time I saw him as the Doctor, I didn't think I connected him with that much, but having rewatched the series again, I really, really like him. I think he was onto something.
It's the first time ever that I can think of, or at least if anybody, Benji, if you want to correct me, or anybody wants to correct me on this, that we really had a doctor that had a story arc attached to it, because he had PTSD from the Time War and everything. So Russell T brings him back and kind of,
I think, evolved the character from where we've been used to it, going from William Hartnell all the way up to Colin Baker. And then you start to see some evolution with the Trial of the Time Lord. And then you see Sylvester with his story arcs, and Ace being like kind of the first Bad Wolf companion, where it was kind of, so you kind of see it. And then I see the, after all that time and the Time War and Big Finish bringing it back with the Eighth Doctor, that you start seeing that arc now. What was the episode that finally brought you in to Doctor Who? What was the episode? Was it the first episode, or did it take some time to get used to that?
I think it probably took me a little bit of time. I'm not very good at, I mean, even with mum stories, I don't really know any of the names of the episodes.
That's okay.
It's I guess probably the first one, is it Rose, the very first episode
Yes.
that he's in. Yeah, I think probably that when they're kind of running through the department store with that Auton, you know, monster. I think that for me, it just kind of crashed back into how you wanted to see the character.
What was your relationship with Doctor Who growing up? Because I'm right in thinking, because we're relatively around the same age, and growing up when we did, Doctor Who wasn't on the television at all. It was what I think fans call the wilderness years. And so I remember when I got into Doctor Who, not many people, certainly nobody at my school, even had a clue what it was. And obviously, you coming from that background, and you would obviously, you know, your mum was very involved in that community. And as we know, Doctor Who and that community were really active in the time when it wasn't on the television. What was it like for you kind of growing up at that time?
I think that's really interesting. Yeah, because obviously, it wasn't on television at all. But there were still kids in my school playing, you know, Daleks and stuff in the playground. And I always kind of got roped into having to play Doctor Who with them. But yeah, I was never really that interested in it growing up. And I think, like, getting older, I have more of a respect for not just the program, but the people behind it, that, you know, or the writers and producers, Philip Hinchcliffe, Dougie Campfield, you know, days gone by right up until present day. Yeah, I mean, I watched it a bit with my mum, but I think as a child, watching Doctor Who with her, the person that was on screen, it was almost like seeing a relative of my mum, because she didn't look like that anymore and she didn't talk like that anymore, but it was still somehow her. Like when you show your own kids photos of you as a baby, they're like, who's that? What? So I never kind of connected it until a bit later. But yeah, isn't it weird that our generation, I guess, is, since the program started, is the only one that really has this massive gap of just no one. And then when was the Paul McGann film?
96.
Yeah, I guess that must have been the closest that we ever got to having a doctor.
Yeah.
Really
Could I just ask?
Yeah.
How old were you, Sadie, when it dawned on you of how appreciated or famous your mum was, and even to some extent your dad? And what was it? Because I read an article recently that Charlotte Barker, who was Ronnie Barker's daughter, only registered with her when they were in Paris viewing the Mona Lisa, and she noticed that people were staring at her dad and not the Mona Lisa.
Oh wow, that's a lovely story. I think because of the conventions, by about 5 or 6 years old, I kind of was like, okay, so there's this thing called Doctor Who, and people want to meet my mum because of it, and there's this big blue box that people keep coming in and out of, and okay, this is what's going on. But when I was younger, really, my mum did an advert for Iceland. So before Kerry Katona, there was Elisabeth Sladen, and she was like the archetypal mum character doing a lot of these adverts. So people would just shout at us in the streets sometimes, like, where are you going on your holidays? Iceland, you know, thinking they were very clever and stuff. So it was just more embarrassing, really. But when you're a child, your parents are just embarrassing anyway, aren't they? No matter, you know, I guess if you're Shiloh Jodie Pitch, you're like, oh, my parents, so embarrassing, you know, going to Malawi again, like, oh, you know, I think that's just kind of how it
Well, some parents pull out the old Polaroid pictures. Your mom pulls out a commercial.
Yeah, totally.
So it might be a little different. that side there. I just want to get back to the question, Sadie, because when you got started and everything, what was the one moment that just said, this is going to be my lifelong ambition? I'm going to be a creator. I'm going to be a writer. What was that defining moment? Because you said you were kind of, I don't want to say dragged into it, but you were brought into it. But what was the moment that you said, you know what, this is my life. This is my life right now. This is happening.
Sure. I mean, I honestly have never had that moment. I've had a very sporadic career. I was incredibly lucky to get introduced to it as a child and then get to kind of dip in and out of it before it really even registered, as a professional, or, it was something that you would be paid for. I had no idea. And I've had like other careers, like when I first had my family, I worked in property for a few years, to get to get a mortgage. So I've kind of oscillated between a lot of things, but now my children are a bit older, kind of to go back into creativity full time is really exciting. And I don't know, I think when you're a creative person, even if you're doing other things, it's always there in the background. It's just part of you, isn't it? I think.
No, that's fine there. So it was food and staying alive.
Yeah, totally.
That was the segment. It said, hey, if I do this, I live.
Yeah,
this is good stuff.
Totally. Yeah, no, definitely.
Dave, did you have any questions for the
I was going to say, so you kind of came back into Doctor Who with the rest of us in 2005, but you... Not on screen, but as in the public, kind of came back more in 2016 because you put out your first book about Lethbridge Stewart. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure.
Your brain.
Sure. So Andy Frankham Allen is the creative director of Candy Jar, and he approached me and asked me if I would like to write this book, and I was a little hesitant really because I enjoy Doctor Who, but I don't know the canon of it in the way that the fans really do. And I was anxious to write for such a well-known character. And I was also pregnant at the time, so we had quite a long period of back and forth with it. But it was really exciting and nice to do a collaborative, project with someone else, with an editor that you can work so closely together with. And hopefully at some point I will get to write for them again. But it's just trying to fit everything in now, but it was a really great experience, and nice to do something again in the Doctor Who universe.
Now, your children following suit as far as their career goals, they're going to go, Mommy, I want to be a doctor.
The Doctor.
The Doctor.
The Doctor. I wrote a doctor. Yes, different type of doctor. No.
Sure. Well, I mean, they're only 2 and 5, so they're still very small. But my 5-year-old actually does want to be a doctor, so we will wait and see what kind.
Well, every child changes careers between ages 3 and 12, so at least 1,600 times.
Definitely. Absolutely.
So that's a good thing. That's a good thing to want to be when you're a kid. It's funny, isn't it? How you always want to be doctors, firemen, policemen, or bizarrely train drivers. They seem to be the main jobs that people want to be for some reason, or actors. To be fair.
And now we run podcasts.
I remember when I worked with kids, and the sort of wide thing that everybody said they wanted to be was just famous. There's no. I said, okay, well, how are you going to be famous? I don't know. I just want to be famous. Right. I'll win a talent program. Okay. What are you going to do? I don't know. Okay, right.
I think that's a modern thing. Anyone can be famous because you've got YouTube and you've got TikTok and you've got whatever the next big thing is. Anyone can be famous without even realizing.
My favorite thing is when you're walking the dog and you just see people looking utterly ridiculous filming TikToks. And of course, to them, they're so in that world and they're doing these stupid dances. When actually, from me watching, I just think, what are you doing? You look utterly stupid. But you won't catch me doing the dances, don't worry. But you will catch me.
Phrase though, wanting to be famous is a really interesting phrase.
It is. It's that sort of. I don't know what it is I want to be famous for, but I just want to be famous. It's a very strange sort of thing. But of course, that's because all the programs I think we watch are just talent things, aren't they? And things where people, their ultimate goal is to get famous.
Well, the Kardashians laid the foundation for that. That's a given.
But
unfortunately,
they did without talent.
To be fair, my sister's
for
obsessed with the
decades.
Kardashians, in fairness, and Desperate Housewives and all those types of programs. You know, it's got an audience, and we'll be joining you after this break. Now, don't go away, and don't switch over to Big Brother or anything like that. Just don't do it. Don't do it.
When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tune in. We're going to continue our conversation with Sadie Miller in just a few moments. We come back.
Meet the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
But not the one you were expecting.
All right, sexy. It's time to go home.
Doctor Who Velocity. Streaming now.
This is Cosplay Michael with the Hanging Out Club Show. I want to tell you about my friends at Embellis Effects in Orlando, Florida. They've got makeup, costumes, and props for all of your costume needs. And the team at Embellis Effects is helpful and friendly. Embellis Effects is one of my favorite places, and I know it will be yours too. I'll see you there. Or go to embelliseffects.com. And remember, cosplay is for everyone.
And I know that commercial's slightly outdated, but I did check the website, and the game looks like it's moving into its beta version. So we can't wait, and we'll be performing that live here, where we're going to be playing the cards. So if you haven't gotten your free Pandex yet, go to Doctor-Worldsapart.com. That's Doctor-Worldsapart.com. You sign in every day, you get 10 Pandex for free, and you can play the game for free. But if you want the big cards, you might have to just spend a little bit. But trust me, we're going to have some fun with that at Doctor-Worldsapart.com. That's going to be coming up soon here in 2022. Want to thank you again for joining us here at the Legend, the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basil. Without the voice, we got special guest host Benji Clifford and the lovely and talented Sadie Miller, who's been joining us as special guest here from BigFinish.com. Sadie, I have a question. We were talking about earlier about passions and what we want to be known for. Out of your creative arsenal, as far as writing, as far as voiceovers, and as acting, where does your passion predominantly lie? If you want to pick one of those avenues, say, I want to be known for this, which one would you pick?
Well, that's a really good question. I think probably now at this stage, I would say writing. I think it's probably more tangible for me to be able to do kind of juggling being a mum and writing versus acting. So I think I would probably go with the writing side of things now.
Okay. Is there something that you want to write that you haven't, and you say, oh, this is something I wanted to work on? Could it be more science fiction or more of, classical history? Is there something that you wanted to focus on a little bit more as far as getting your writing chops going there? Was there something?
Sure. I mean,
do this?
I love writing sort of thrillers, horror, fantasy, I guess just really solid escapist literature, because that's what I enjoy reading, what I connect with the most, I would say. So that's kind of the area that I'm looking to move into, hopefully by the end of this year, going into next year as well, just because obviously writing is very time consuming. So you're always kind of a bit on the back foot, but that's definitely where I'm sort of pitching my career trajectory now, I think.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing here is we're going to be seeing, coming from Big Finish in a couple of years, a horror thriller adventure with Sarah J. Smith and the Ninth Doctor.
Well, we'll wait and see after Koepp, Jason. Send him some scripts, see what he says.
I trust you have a thing for astrology and tarot cards, yeah?
Yeah, no, I do. I really enjoy that side of things as well. I think Benji and I both enjoy a good card slinging session.
Dabble with the tarot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall we dabble with it now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Have you guys got your cards?
I've got a deck here. I have a deck. Shall I do it? Shall I give us a shuffle?
Yeah, let's give it a shuffle. Let's see how much trouble we're in.
Why don't we set the intention for this? Let's just see, what vibes are going down. Shall I just pick the one off the top because it's going to get very confusing? So I hold them up there. I have shuffled it. I want to turn it around and we'll see what it is. There we go. Is my camera reversing it? It might be.
Yeah, it's Ace of Wands.
The Ace of Wands, which is not just a great card.
Mackenzie Floor would love that.
Well, it's also a great ITV television series back in the 70s. Ace of Wands, what a great card. Card of inspiration, good ideas, good vibes, positivity, passions, which is what we're all about kind of here, aren't we, really?
Yeah, definitely.
I would say you're a passionate person, Sadie. You're certainly really passionate about this sort of stuff, as well as that. I think you've got an encyclopedic knowledge of the moon cycles and where everything is. I'm always in awe of your knowledge about that. Where did this stem from? Where did all of this interest come from?
So my mum and I always had like a weird little psychic sister thing going on where there's like a ghost in my parents' house and my dad could never see it, but my mum and I would see it all the time. And there would just be weird instances where someone would die, but my mum and I, like, we would see them afterwards before we knew that they had passed. And there were just always these weird serendipities where I don't know, things would happen that we couldn't explain except to each other, and it kind of got me more interested into what's the I don't know. I feel that we're all more connected than we realise, and by feeding into that, you kind of find different ways to connect with yourself. I don't know if I'm explaining it very well, but yeah, it's something that I enjoy, definitely, and there's always more to learn, which is cool as well.
Well, I'm seeing something maybe slightly cohesive. Because we're talking about Doctor Who, which is time and space, astrology, and I sit here right next door to the Kennedy Space Center, which is the platform where it's going. Yeah, where the Space Coast, the Kennedy. Well, I'm over in Orlando, which is just a little more than an hour away from it. But so, what was your passion to bring into astrology? I mean, is this being influenced by sci-fi and Doctor Who, or is this something that came out separate on its own, because you said you discussed it with your mother?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've always been interested in it since I was a little girl. My mum used to have a deck of tarot cards that I think someone gave them to her at a convention. Oh, wow. And she would never use them. She felt that, incorrectly really, that tarot was sort of that there was something negative associated with it, that if you pulled the wrong card it could then dictate something bad was going to happen, which is not what tarot obviously is about at all. It's much more about sort of divination, intuition, and that sort of thing.
Because that death card throws everybody off.
Yeah, and
it's the best one to get in a reading for somebody. It is the best one because the look on their face. And no, stop.
Sure, because death is actually like a really positive card often to pull. But yeah, serial killers, I think, often leave it at like various murder scenes and stuff, because people kind of get tarot a bit confused. And I think people think of it as well as I guess more like fortune telling, which to me I don't feel that it is at all. I'm quite against almost reading for other people. You should try and connect and read for yourself, really, to connect with what your own intuition is telling you, because often we don't really listen to that little inner voice when we really should.
So you think more astrology is more of a self-awareness and a self-awakening than somebody sitting there with a globe in front of you going like, okay, here's your future, give me your hand. This is more of an individual type thing from your self-reflection than something that somebody projects on you and says, okay, this is what's going on. Okay.
Completely. And I think we all have access to that information. Like, I don't like the idea that there's sort of this idea of the chosen ones, that there are some people that can read the cards and some people can't. We all have access to that spiritual side. It's just allowing yourself to find the magic of it all, really, is what I think anyway.
I just reminded of that Stephen Wright joke. He said he was playing poker with tarot cards. He got a full house and 4 people died. I still love that joke to this day there. But so I guess you have a passion for space as well.
I mean, I guess in a way, not in a scientific way particularly, but I enjoy learning more about astrology, which I feel is separate to me as like science, really. I'm not sure. Do you feel that they're quite closely linked?
Okay. No, I totally get you there. All right.
Cool.
Sorry. I was just going to ask, talking about astrology then, so how do you cope with this new sign, Ophiuchus?
Oh, yes. I mean,
which has put people off kilter, because for 60 years I've been a saggy hairy ass. Right? But now I'm supposed to be a Scorpio, and I have no traits of Scorpio at all, as far as I know. I fit into Sagittarius quite easily.
Well, I think obviously all the signs have kind of moved around a bit anyway with sort of the passing of time. It's difficult to kind of align yourself with just one, and most people look to their sun sign anyway, don't they? They're, I guess, like a star sign. So I think even if you know your moon and your rising, your ascending sign, you can kind of then start to fill in the gaps a bit more. So I think with astrology, you can't really get started with it properly unless you have your birth chart. But again, like, I think trying to read other people's birth charts, even trying to read your own, is incredibly complicated and mathematic. But I think it's about.
Yeah, I take on board what you were saying about that. We're all can register things, and the tarot cards. I go along with that totally, because it's down to self-responsibility at the end of the day. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It's guidance and food for thought, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, there's lots of people that poo-poo it, but I go along with it. Especially the intuitive side of things. We all at some point say something like, I knew that was going to happen, right? Because you do get a sense. And you definitely know if somebody's come into the room.
Oh, yes.
And you definitely sense, as an actor on a live stage, you definitely sense the mood of the audience. And you could definitely sense when the mood of the audience changes. It is very
Yeah, totally, definitely.
Yeah.
Speaking of mood, we're bringing you back to Big Finish just a little bit, and if anybody, please check it out. We've got already, I think, at least 2 episodes with Sadie Miller as playing Sarah Jane Smith. We have the Third Doctor Adventures, Conspiracy in Space, and the Devil's Footprints. And the ones that I'm listening to right now, the Third Doctor Adventures, the Unzal Incursion, and the Gulf. And I've got to admit, I'm about 3/4 away through the Gulf. First of all, it drives me insane. And this is not a bad thing, Benji, but it's going back to when Katie was being asked when we interviewed her about Big Finish and bringing Tim Treloar on there. And she's saying, darling, he did not sound anything like the Third Doctor. If she did not sound anything like John, I would not do this episode. Now that I'm listening to the episodes, John Colshore, Tim Treloar, now Sadie Miller, and a whole cast of people, I'm just like, I really can close my eyes and watch the mannerisms of the people who did this back in the 1970s in my brain. You scare me, Sadie. You really do. It's not just the vocals, it's the mannerisms that I can see how intricate it is, because you only got the voice. And that doesn't do too much, when it comes to the visuals and when you see the acting, but I can see Liz Shaw, I can see Sarah Jane Smith. It's kind of crazy. I don't know why, but I thought of a Star Trek episode with I'm not going to give too much away, but with the Gulf, if anybody remembers what I'm talking about. I'm not going to give too much away, but it reminded me of a Star Trek episode. I might find it. I forgot what the episode was called, but
the interesting thing about the recastings is it was met with a real mixed reaction when we announced it. And because people are so protective over these characters, and it's like your mum, Sadie. People absolutely love her, and she's a part of so many people's childhoods and growing up. And I can't speak for everybody, but I can say that it's really lovely to see people give it a go, because that's the most important thing, and then actually enjoy it and listen to it and have such enthusiasm for it. I think is so nice, and we'll go into that. properly. We've got a break coming up in a moment. But
Yep.
I can certainly say with you, Sadie, when I recorded with you for that first time and you were doing something, I don't even know if it's out yet, but it was something really closely linked with that your mum did back in the day. And I remember it gave me goosebumps. I was like, felt quite moved by it because it was like, it was I could see how much it meant to you. And yeah, it was a really strange experience. But don't go away. There may be more strange experiences after this spooky. If it's anything like the last advert, it might have a spooky thing in it. So who knows? We'll be seeing you after
Are
this.
you telling me that my sponsors are spooky? Whatever.
There was a spooky one with spooky piano.
Gotcha. And when we return, please continue to stay logged on, tune in. We will wrap up our discussion with Sadie Miller and our special guest host, Benji Clifford, when we return. Sorry.
You have more options than ever before when choosing a film, a television or internet series, a book to curl up with, or even a radio show or podcast. Get to know the people who are creating for you. The Hangin' With Web Show, hosted by award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pomacher, is the internet's fastest-growing web talk show series. The Hangin' With Web Show features professional, yet casual, in-depth interviews with creative arts and entertainment pros. Meet the people behind a digital revolution in creating more quality content than ever before in the history of media. Find the Hangin' With Web Show on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or simply go to www.hanginwithshow.com. That's www.hanginwithshow.com.
Author Cindy Koepp is writing on the edge. Books include Remnant in the Stars, The Loudest Actions, Lines of Succession, Mindstorm, Condemned Courier, the Yerushalayim series, and Animal Eye. Find author Cindy Koepp at CKOEPP.com today.
The massive audio Doctor Who Bad Wolf Bluetooth TARDIS speaker. That's all I gotta say, one word. Wow, it looks like it just jumped right off the screen. Here it is in all its Bad Wolf glory. Right here is the on-off switch and the up and down volume. Right here's the speaker. The TARDIS stands about 6 inches from the bottom of the TARDIS all the way up to the top where the light is. Look at the detail. Wow.
And don't forget to sign up for The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS on YouTube, youtube.com, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. You can check out our latest reviews on Eve of the Daleks, as well as our New Year's Eve wrap-up special. And again, we want to wish everybody a very safe and happy New Year from here over here from Legend of the Traveling TARDIS and our friends over at BigFinish.com. Please check it out and subscribe to either one of our YouTube channels. And you can also subscribe over at Big Finish. And don't forget, they have some special deals going on as we enter the new year. So BigFinish.com, please subscribe now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're just wrapping up our episode with special guest host Benji Clifford from BigFinish.com. Miss Sadie Miller. Can't get this pointed. Miss Sadie Miller. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. The lovely Sadie Miller, who plays Sarah Jane Smith in the Third Doctor audios on BigFinish.com. Here with Simon, Joey, Dave, and myself. Benji, take it away because my voice is
You did very well there. I'm very impressed. Well, let's jump into the Big Finish chat because I think this is a huge thing for you. How did it sort of come about when you were offered the opportunity to play Sarah Jane Smith? Did you see it coming? Is it something that you always sort of thought might happen, or did it hit you completely out of the blue?
Oh gosh, no, not at all. I mean, I think when Big Finish started when they finally got Tom to do it, because I think he was resistant for a while, was the stories that I heard. I think originally he was going to start doing them with Mum, and then obviously she passed away, so they started them with Louise, was the story that I heard.
Yes, that's correct. That is completely correct.
Is it?
And the story's redacted to accommodate Louise. Yeah, that's absolutely the truth. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Because sometimes, like, my mum would tell me things, and sometimes they're true, and sometimes they're not. So I always have to like get someone else to verify. Okay, so yes, that's true. So then I obviously assumed that they would never touch the character again, because it's just quite difficult, isn't it? I mean, when someone passes away, to then recast it. So David Richardson, the producer, emailed me. I think at maybe like Easter time 2019, and then we recorded the Cyberman story that November, but it was out of the blue completely. I had absolutely no idea that it was something that anyone would ever ask me to do ever. So yeah, it was a big surprise, really.
I have a question for you then in that case.
Oh, yes.
You record your first audio with Big Finish playing your mother's title role. You hear it for the first time yourself as you playing her role. How did that make you feel?
I mean, just surreal, really. I think as an actor, like when you hear yourself, you're always hypercritical. So for me, I kind of try and have it on in the background whilst I'm doing something else, not to kind of critique myself too much. But I was, I guess, just what was more important to me was that other people would like it and would accept it. Because it was such a big thing to do. And I think Big Finish were very clever, because the Cyberman story, Sarah's not really in it very much. So if it was a disaster, they'd be like, no, that's the only one. We're not doing any more. So yes, it's just been a bit of a whirlwind, really, though, since then. It's been such a great adventure.
And let me just say this for everybody. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get you off there, Joe, but let me say this for everybody. Big spoilers ahead. Sadie is incredibly good. She's when I first heard when I started listening to the golf, I was like, I had to rewind. I'm like, wait. It was something similar to that I did with Tim, because you have to I rewinded back. It's just like, I know she was your mother, but I'm like, you really get this character as well. It's just like you're picking up the ball as if it was never dropped. And to me, that's a testament to just how you explored the character and how you're running with it right now.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind. Thank you, Christian.
No problem.
Yeah. The vocal inflections. You mentioned this in a previous interview with another podcast, and the fact that you were trying to at least get the essence of how your mother's voice was when she was on the role, and yeah, definitely spot on. But when you're recording, it's one thing to record something with Trelaw, and I know you haven't seen them because people aren't in a giant studio with microphones like in the old radio days. No, but I know that before you did Cybermen with Tom, you did meet Tom at a convention or such, and obviously Tom being Tom, I don't know if you have the chance to actually personally work with him. So much to a point where you're probably within the same room, but separated by glass, and you're reading lines with him, and of course just having that big booming voice, and the bravado, and just probably him arguing with Nick, saying no, it should be like this, no, it should be like that, and all that, and considering, regardless of how old the man is, Chentani to him, but he's still Tom Baker, and so I'm sure I'm sure that you going into this, you knew who you're up against. It's not like match of the day or anything, no, but it's but you knew what kind of personality he had, and at the same time, I'm sure he treated you as not Liz's daughter, but as an equal.
Yeah, Tom is lovely. I've met him quite a few times, and I've said this before. Every time you meet him, it's like you meet him for the first time, and I think it's the combination of that bravado of him being the character, but also I think I do think that Tom is I don't know, like all actors, a bit nervous. He's got an expectation that people want something from him. They want this doctor from him, and he's always got to deliver it. And I think that's quite tough, really. But no, he's lovely and a bit naughty and a bit silly, and it's nice to just sit and chat with him. And like you say, he's in his mid-80s now, I think, and he's still just as spirited and everything that you would want when meeting Tom. You know, he doesn't let you down.
Yeah, I think the one personality that's more, I mean, it's one thing for Tom to be the Doctor, but it's another thing to experience Tom Baker. Because, I mean, never mind the Doctor, because it's all scripted and such, and yes, he brought himself to that character, but just sitting in the same room, I mean, I'm to be a fly in a room just to hear what he has to say in between takes, and just that behavior. You know, we Americans, we have our William Shatner. You Brits, you have your Tom Baker.
I love it when I've done an interview with also like Michael Jaston, and it's just like, I love it when actors get to a certain age, they just don't care. No. They just whatever comes out of their mouth. Yeah. And I remember I was being part of an interview with Michael Jaston. He was saying some stuff, and the showrunner and I were going like, can that fly? Can we? Because you have that PC culture, but you have these guys who grew up, and guys and gals who grew up this way, and they say their piece, and then just don't care. Yeah. And so it's like a William Shatner who's going on his Twitter like mad, but.
Well, I'll tell you, with Tom, although you know he's Tom Baker, I'll tell you one that he really does care. I've engineered quite a few sessions with him now. I've got one coming up in a few weeks, and he reads everything. He marks things up. He writes alternative lines. So if he sees something and he thinks, well, I wouldn't say it like that, he changes it. He asks questions. Well, why is he doing that? I mean, if he says it like this, surely he should do it like this. And he's really on it. And a lot of the comedy that you hear, though, on the other hand, is directly from Tom. He comes out with it. He'll completely change it.
Yeah, you know, Benji, I really appreciate your timber.
Oh, thank you. Yes, well, I learned it from the best.
Yes,
I was thinking about it as far as creativity. I'm sure he gives a damn, because he's been very, very on spot. But I meant like, what was it? My favorite line from William Shatner: "You say sabotage, I say sabotage," or whatever that line is. Yeah. He's going to do what he does, and that's who he is. I mean, my dad in his later years was the same thing.
Never mind International Talk Like a Pirate Day. Tom's birthday's on the 20th. That's 11 days from now from this interview. Yeah. We should make this International Talk Like Tom Baker Day. Yes? Okay. Yes.
I thought that was the whole point. Nobody talks like Tom Baker. So it's just like,
well, we could try.
John Coltrane kind of comes very close, and Joey showed us a little.
Oh yeah, he's great.
There.
Sadie, when talking of voices, did you obviously? I mean, you grew up with your mum, so you're going to know how she is. But did you do a lot of research? Did you sit down and say, I need to really get Sarah Jane and work this out, or was it something you thought, no, I know this, I can do this, I've got this, I can go in?
No, I watched. I downloaded BritBox, and I just cannonballed through all of her stories and just watched them all, and trying to find. I think, coincidentally enough, the first story, Time Warrior, I think has a lot of great sort of story arc moments. So, you know, Sarah meeting new characters, her being in danger, her being the one that, you know, takes control of the situation. There's so many little moments that then you can kind of link back to that often repeat themselves in many of the stories. So no, I definitely did my research. I was a bit worried.
And did you come back through and kind of do some of her? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Benji.
Oh no. Feel free.
Okay, I was gonna say, did you come back through and listen to some of her Big Finish ones? Because of course she had her own Sarah Jane Smith two series of Big Finish, who had a bit character. What was her name? Natalie Redfern. Yeah, there was a great actress that played her. It was great. I wish I could hear your Sarah and, well, your Natalie.
I haven't actually listened to those for years, but I should do that actually. I think I've still got the CDs at my dad's house. I need to go look those up. I totally forgot about that.
No, they're great. I was listening to some of them after I finished off with the golf and stuff. I was like, oh, they're fat stories in themselves. Well, and you were great in them, and getting to knowing where it went, behind the mic was definitely interesting to hear that, hear her doing it, hear you opposite her, and then moving along. It was really neat to hear.
Oh, that's so cool. And it wasn't long after that then Sarah Jane Adventures proper happened. So I guess that kind of curtailed that series, but it's interesting it might have gone somewhere else. I don't know what Big Finish had planned with it, but yeah.
Oh God, I just had a really disturbing story idea. I'm kind of bordering on Natalie King Cole and Matt King Cole, where Sadie and her mom take some audios from her mom and just have them talk to each other and just have them just banter for a while. That would be awesome. I mean, we could really have some play on this. Sadie, as we're coming up to the end of the episode, what holds for you in the future? Where do you see yourself coming across, and what kind of projects are you working on now that you'd like?
Oh, thank you. Well, I do have some writing projects rumbling away, as is the annoying way of the business. I can't really talk about them, but yeah, a busy. I nearly said 2021. Forgetting what year we're in. It's a nightmare. 2020 times 3. Yeah, lots of nice things coming up, and also some more recordings for Big Finish maybe as well. So thank you very much for having me on and letting me have a chat with you guys.
That's awesome. And Benji, that's happening, right? We're going to have more audios with Sadie here.
I'm certain of it. Thank you so much, everybody here, for tuning in. Thank you, Sadie, for being here. Thank you to our wonderful panelists as well. You're all fantastic. It's been an absolute blast. And we'll be seeing you next time for this lovely podcast. So from me, Benji Beats, goodbye. See you later.
Thank you, folks. Let me just switch this over. I'm just going to do some closing statements there. And
Sadie said the Big Finish podcast. Then that's why I stopped. I was like, "Seeing you in the back." Hold on a minute. Sorry.
Wrong one.
You can have this episode. Go ahead. I don't care. They're all free at some point there. But we just want to let everybody know, even though it's been a little bit trying, this coming weekend, and I got to look at the date. I am so sorry. If you want to see the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS team, we're going to be at Central Florida Comic-Con the 15th and the 16th. We're still at the RP Fundings, Lakeland. We're going to be in Lakeland at the RP Funding Center, so check us out there.
It's a catalogue where in England, the Lakeland, is it the Lakeland catalogue? I think it is.
Maybe.
I was thinking that.
It's in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of like
there we go.
Here's Kissimmee and Lakeland and Tampa, or somewhere out there.
You're going to be in Avon next.
Please.
Bing bong.
We're at your door.
Can never learn the show proper. Again, thank you for Benji, Clifford from BigFinish.com. Thank you, Sadie Miller. Thank you so much out there. Sadie, stick around for just a few moments after the closing segment. We want to thank everybody. Please stay safe out there. Don't forget to subscribe, as you can see at the bottom, YouTube.com, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Okay, and no worries there, folks. Please stay safe out there. Whatever you need to do to take care of yourself. Again, don't forget to go to our Facebook page. We are over 56,000 Facebook followers, and we are climbing up to 57 rapidly. You want to advertise on our show? Sage at hangingwithshow.com, Christian at thehangingwithshow.com. And also don't forget to download the audios for free. iHeartRadio, sci-fi.radio, Spotify, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Thank you so much, folks. Stand by. And please stay safe. I'll get my voice back eventually. And again, please continue to become part of the legend.